Chosen one, stop for a moment and feel the weight of this divine encounter. That bold number 222 shining on the thumbnail. It grabbed your attention, didn't it? It wasn't just a fleeting glance, it was a holy spark, a signal from heaven that compelled you to click this video. In the Bible and Christian life, the number 2 represents unity, agreement, and God's divine confirmation, as seen in Matthew 18:19, where Jesus says, "If 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven." When it appears as 222, this truth is magnified, proclaiming God's promise of alignment, harmony, and the unfolding of His covenant over your life. It's a divine whisper that tonight, God is ready to do something extraordinary with you. You're not here by chance, not guided by algorithms or luck. This moment is a sacred setup, orchestrated by God Himself, calling you to prepare for His greatest work in your life. Why are you watching this video right now? Is there a stirring in your heart, a quiet hope that God is about to move in ways you've never seen? Perhaps you've been waiting, praying, or even doubting, wondering if your season of breakthrough will ever come. This message is for those who believe God's promises are true and His timing is perfect. Pause and ask yourself, what is God preparing in your spirit tonight? I invite you to declare your faith in the comments below. Share the number 222 and tell us where you're watching from, whether it's your city, your country, or a quiet corner known only to God. What you sow today, with a heart open to His will, God will multiply tenfold, pouring out blessings that overflow beyond your wildest dreams. Chosen one, this is your divine moment. God is smiling, ready to do the greatest thing ever with you tonight. Open your heart, get ready, and step into the miracle He has prepared for you. Listen carefully. The enemy knew this moment was coming. That's why he fought you so hard. That's why your mind has been under attack. Why depression came like a flood. Why confusion tried to shut your eyes. Why fear whispered that it was over. But it's not over. It's just beginning. The darkness came because it knew what was coming next, your awakening. The enemy is terrified of a chosen one who finally realizes who they are. You've been walking through fire, and you thought it would kill you, but it didn't. And it won't, because fire cannot consume what God has consecrated. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 2 states, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. You are flame-proof, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you." You didn't survive by accident. You survived by assignment. God has been building something inside you. In the isolation, He planted wisdom. In the betrayal, He carved out discernment. In the wilderness, He trained your ears to hear His whisper. You are not empty. You are equipped. You are not abandoned. You are appointed. And tonight, that appointment is being activated. This is not entertainment. This is an encounter. You're not just watching a video. You're stepping into a divine transaction. Heaven is releasing something as you listen, an anointing, a clarity, a divine confirmation. You've prayed, "Lord, if this is really you, send me a sign." This is it. The sign is not thunder, it is this moment. The sign is not a dream, it is this word. You're standing on a threshold. Behind you is confusion, delay, shame, and pain. But before you, one step away, is purpose, movement, strategy, and breakthrough. You are one step away, one bold act of faith away from stepping into what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. You don't need to know how. You just need to agree. Will you agree tonight? Will you say yes to the divine thing God is doing in you? Not next week, not when it feels safe. Now. Because this window is sacred, this moment is pregnant with possibility. Heaven has already released the answer. The question is, will you respond? You were marked since the beginning, before time began, before stars were hung in the heavens or oceans were measured out in the palm of His hand. Your name was whispered by God. He didn't stumble upon you. He authored you. In the throne room of heaven, long before your first breath, your assignment was sealed with fire. You were not born randomly. You are the fulfillment of something sacred, a divine plan set in motion before you ever opened your eyes. You've wondered, why me? Why the battles? Why the wait? Why the silence? It's because of who you are. You are not common. You carry something that cannot be measured in natural terms. There's a reason others overlooked you. They couldn't recognize your worth because it wasn't meant to be recognized by men. It was heaven's mystery, hidden in plain sight. Chosen one. The things about you that made you feel strange, rejected, or unworthy are the very things God intentionally designed. Your sensitivity was crafted to hear His whisper. Your solitude meant to deepen your discernment. Your restlessness was never dissatisfaction. It was your spirit refusing to settle for less than what heaven promised you. Even the missteps, the detours, the decisions you thought disqualified you, they were woven into the journey. God is not intimidated by your past. He isn't ashamed of your humanity. He sees the end from the beginning. He looked through all your flaws and still said, "That one is mine." Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 confirms, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He planned for us long ago. Long ago. Not yesterday. Not after you got your act together, but from the very foundation of time. You were seen, chosen, and positioned. Your very existence is proof of heaven's strategy. The warfare against your mind isn't accidental. The pressure to doubt your worth, your identity, your calling. It's because the enemy caught wind of your blueprint. Darkness tries to drown what it cannot decode. Your very breath is a threat to the realm of shadows. The way your spirit refuses to stay silent, the way your eyes carry weight, they all testify that you are heaven's secret weapon. You weren't made for shallow places. That's why surface-level things never satisfied you. That's why normalcy always choked you. You weren't created to swim with the crowd. You were built to part seas. There's a Moses inside you, a liberator, a trailblazer, someone who goes where no one else dares to go. That's why you've walked through what you've walked through, to carry what others can't. You weren't forged in comfort. You were formed in fire. Do you see it yet? The rejection wasn't personal. It was prophetic. They didn't walk away because you weren't enough. They walked away because they couldn't handle what God put inside you. Sometimes the oil on your life repels those who were never assigned to your journey, and that's okay. Heaven never needed the approval of people to release a calling. You were marked for more. When God marks a person, He places within them a signal, something the enemy detects even before you do. That's why certain storms chased you. That's why doors closed without warning. The mark on your life provoked resistance because marked ones are dangerous to darkness. You weren't just born, you were deployed. The fact that you're still here after everything is the proof. Proof that the plans of hell didn't prosper. Proof that the fire didn't consume you. Proof that heaven is still moving through you. There is a lineage of prophets, warriors, intercessors, and reformers whose prayers surround your life. Their mantles did not fall to the ground, they fell on you. You are the continuation of what they started. You are not an individual effort. You are the next chapter in heaven's unfolding story. When God breathed life into you, He didn't just send you to survive. He sent you to shift things. You are a breaker, an atmosphere changer, a disruptor of cycles. There are systems in your family, in your city, even in your bloodline that will bow because you stood up, not in arrogance, but in identity. You are part of a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a chosen people. You carry royal blood in your spirit. Even when life tried to rob you of your crown, the throne of heaven never forgot your name. So rise in your awareness. Remember who you are, not who life told you to be, not who trauma tried to shrink you into, but who God always said you were. Look in the mirror and see not just your reflection, but your resurrection. This is not the beginning of your calling. It is the continuation of a divine sequence heaven initiated long before you arrived on earth. You are chosen one. Every pain you've carried is prophetic. Not a single tear has been wasted. Not one heartbreak, not one betrayal, not one long night of silence slipped past heaven's view. You've walked through things that would have crushed others. You've endured burdens that no one even saw. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, listening. You don't even fully realize how powerful that is. Your survival is not just survival, it's prophecy. You've been tried in fire, and what came out wasn't ash, but anointing. You thought the pain was punishment. You thought the delays were denials. But they were divine construction zones. God was allowing pain to carve depth into you because shallow people cannot carry deep assignments. The reason your sorrow has been so great is because your mantle is massive. You weren't made for small things. The weight you've carried was never for nothing. It was for purpose. It was preparation. It was prophecy. Now heaven is unveiling what that pain was always producing. Every loss refined your discernment. Every moment of silence sharpened your ears to heaven's frequency. Every disappointment redirected your feet to destiny. You asked God to use you. You asked Him to mold you. Did you think the process would be painless? No anointing comes without crushing. No oil flows without pressure. No glory rises without going through the valley. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 affirms, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." You thought God was far when you were breaking, but He was closer than ever. You didn't see Him, but He was holding the pieces. You didn't hear Him, but He was rewriting your story with every shattered fragment. You are not a victim, you are a vessel. The pain didn't make you bitter. It made you powerful. You now walk with insight that can't be taught. You carry a light that cuts through darkness, not because life was easy, but because God was with you in the fire. You survived not just to tell the story, but to become the story others will read when they are looking for hope. Chosen one, what you thought disqualified you has actually distinguished you. There's a wisdom in your eyes now that wasn't there before. There's a power in your voice that came from having nothing but God. There's a depth in your prayers that only comes from weeping at His feet. This is what the pain built. This is what the suffering birthed. That's why the enemy has tried so hard to distract you, to discourage you, to silence you. Because if you ever truly understand the power in your wounds, the enemy knows you'll become unstoppable. And tonight, that realization is breaking forth. This is the hour where your sorrow turns to strategy, where the crushing becomes your crown. You were not created to merely endure. God has called you to emerge. Your scars are sacred. They are signs of your survival and seals of your assignment. You've asked, why me? But tonight, the question shifts. Why not you? Who better to break chains than the one who knows how heavy they are? Who better to set captives free than one who has lived through their own prison? You were not just chosen. You were carved out of suffering to become an agent of freedom. Your life is a message. Every ache was a sentence. Every betrayal was a paragraph. Every season of loneliness was a chapter. And now the book is opening. God is flipping the pages. The next part of your story is not written in tears. It's written in glory. Don't curse your journey. It made you. Don't despise the wilderness. It matured you. Don't run from the memory of pain. That pain became prophecy, and that prophecy is unfolding even now. You are stepping into a moment where the questions of yesterday are answered with the glory of today. If this word pierces something in your spirit, if the tears are falling because you know this is truth, then respond, not just emotionally, but prophetically. Comment the number 777 below. 777 is the number of divine completion, of supernatural alignment, and of heaven sealing what hell tried to steal. When you type it, you're declaring, "My pain had a purpose, and I'm stepping into what it prepared me for." You are a walking prophecy. Chosen one, and your story is just getting started. You're not dying, you're awakening. That heaviness you felt lately, that weight pressing against your chest, making it hard to breathe, making you question if you were losing your fire, your hope, your clarity. It wasn't death, it was the contraction before birth. It was the shaking that always comes before resurrection. What looked like a burial was actually a planting. Chosen one. Heaven has been whispering to you in dreams, in silences, in divine interruptions. You've been feeling the ground shift beneath your feet, not because you're falling, but because you're being raised. Everything that felt like an end has only been the womb of a new beginning. You haven't been losing yourself. You've been shedding layers that no longer fit the next dimension of your calling. The disorientation is a sign that something deep within you is changing, that your spirit is breaking through every wall the world tried to place around it. You've been breaking up with smallness. You've been saying goodbye to what's beneath your calling. And that goodbye hurts because your flesh wants what your spirit has outgrown. God is awakening something ancient in you, something that remembers the sound of heaven, something that knows how to walk in authority, something that refuses to stay asleep in a world that profits from your silence. You were never meant to live numb. You were never meant to live beneath your awareness. You were always destined to wake up and see clearly, boldly, unshakably. You are not weak. When the disciples found themselves in the storm, Jesus didn't panic. He didn't react the way they did. He stood up in the middle of chaos and spoke peace into the winds. That same authority is waking up inside you now. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is not just visiting you, it is dwelling in you. Romans chapter 8, verse 11 declares, "If the Spirit of Him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, He who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies." That's not poetic language, it's a prophetic reality. You are not weak, you are not defeated, you are not fading, you are rising. The spiritual lethargy that's tried to cloud your mind is lifting. The confusion that's blurred your vision is breaking. God is realigning you with who you truly are in Him. Not the version religion tried to mold, not the version trauma distorted, but the version heaven designed. The chains are falling in layers first, the mental ones, those beliefs that told you you're too much or not enough. Then the emotional ones, those wounds that made you build walls instead of altars. And finally, the spiritual ones, those ancient lies whispered in moments of weakness, convincing you to settle when God called you to soar. But now your eyes are opening. You're starting to sense again. You're beginning to discern again. You're remembering that prayer is not duty, it's breath. That worship is not routine, it's your language. That scripture isn't a book, it's a weapon. You are waking up to the reality that your walk with God was never supposed to be passive. It was always meant to be fire, movement, intimacy, and purpose. The lies are losing their power. The fog is clearing. You are coming back to yourself, your true self, the self that heaven recognizes, the self that hell fears. This awakening isn't a feeling, it's a resurrection. You were never meant to be average. That's why average always frustrated you. You weren't made for mere survival. That's why you hated when your days felt mechanical and empty. Deep down, you've always known there is more. There's always been a groaning in your spirit, a hunger no one could explain. That hunger is holy. God is not introducing you to something new. He's reintroducing you to what's always been inside you. The world needs what you carry: the sound in your voice, the strength in your prayers, the clarity in your discernment, the compassion born from your battles. But none of it can flow if you remain asleep. That's why God is shaking everything loose so you can rise. No more delay, no more slumber, no more sleepwalking through sacred seasons. This is your Lazarus moment. This is the hour where the grave clothes fall and the stench of the past no longer clings to you. You're stepping out of what held you. You're rising into what God always prepared for you. This awakening will be loud in the spirit, but gentle in your soul, like the first breath after nearly drowning, like sunlight after days of darkness. You are not breaking. You are breaking through. Let the tiredness fall away. Let the old mindsets die. Let the excuses be buried in the empty tomb of your former self. You're not going back to who you were. You're moving forward into who you were born to be. Chosen one, your awakening has begun. The light in you is a threat. You've wondered why the attacks have intensified, why people you trusted shifted, why conversations turned cold, and opportunities suddenly disappeared. It's because darkness can sense when a chosen one is rising. It feels the tremble in the spirit when you start stepping into who you are. It fears what you carry. You don't even fully see your radiance yet, but the enemy does. And that's why the fight has been fierce. Your light is disruptive. You don't walk into rooms unnoticed. You shift atmospheres. Even when you're silent, your presence alone disturbs demonic strategies. You've been thinking your quietness was weakness. It's actually voltage. You've been underestimating your glow, not realizing that it's exposing what others are trying to hide. When you show up, the hidden things get uncomfortable. Spirits that have been resting in places too long suddenly stir. It's not your imagination. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. You've been carrying light that pierces through pretense. That's why certain people backed away. It wasn't rejection. It was exposure. Matthew chapter 5 verse 14 declares, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." He didn't say you might be. He didn't say one day you'll become. He said you are right now. Even with your uncertainty, even with your flaws, you are already light, already appointed, already dangerous to darkness. The enemy's attacks have been subtle at times, not always loud storms, but quiet distractions, confusion, doubt, fatigue, anything to dim you, anything to cause you to forget the weight of what you carry. But no more. The dimmer switch is breaking tonight. Your glow cannot be hidden. Your calling cannot be muted. Your fire cannot be smothered. This world doesn't need another echo. It needs your voice, your clarity, your oil, your sound. You don't need a title to shine. You don't need a stage. You just need obedience. And you've already started moving in that direction even now. By receiving this word, you are proof that light still wins. You are evidence that even in a world thick with shadow, heaven still plants torchbearers in the dark. Your story, your survival, your strength, it all radiates, and people see it, even if they never say it. You've been igniting fires in people who didn't even know they were cold. You've been making demons uncomfortable, and you didn't even realize it. Every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness, light surged. Every time you worshipped through pain, heaven noticed. Every time you stood when it felt safer to stay small, you punched holes in the veil of darkness. Don't think it didn't matter. Don't think it went unnoticed. Your obedience is more powerful than you know. This is your reminder. Don't hide your glow. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't downplay what God has placed in you just because others don't understand it. You were not made to blend in. You were made to blaze. Let your light offend darkness. Let your prayers unsettle atmospheres. Let your joy in trials confuse the enemy. Let your faith in the storm shake the gates of hell. You are not just surviving, you are advancing. You are breaking territory open, and the ones who come after you will walk through doors you tore off their hinges. You are heaven's weapon wrapped in skin. It's time to embrace it fully. Stand up in your calling. Don't apologize for your glow. Steward it, sharpen it, protect it, feed it. Speak what heaven tells you to speak. Move how the Spirit leads you to move. And if the world doesn't clap, keep glowing anyway. Your reward is not applause. Your reward is legacy, transformation, eternal impact. If this message is bearing witness in your spirit, if something in you is rising, even trembling at the weight of truth being revealed, stay connected. This isn't just inspiration, it's impartation. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you never miss the next divine drop. Like the message if it confirmed something heaven already told you in secret. Share it with someone whose light has been under siege. And if you feel led to support this ministry, to help keep the light flowing, to make space for more chosen ones to awaken, consider giving. Every seed goes back into the field. Every act of support strengthens the reach of this calling. But above all, stay faithful to your fire. You are the light, not a flicker, not a spark, a blazing torch, and you were never meant to be hidden. Angels are assembling over you now. Even as you listen, even as your heart is stirred, even as your spirit begins to rise from slumber, there is motion in the heavenly realm, invisible to the natural eye, but undeniable in the spirit. You have not been alone. You have not been forsaken. There have been legions on assignment over your life, silent, watchful, and ready. And tonight, their orders are shifting. Something has been released in heaven. A green light has gone forth, and divine messengers are taking flight, not because you earned it, not because you fought hard enough, but because your moment has arrived. God has declared it is time. He has heard your prayers, the loud ones, the whispered ones, the prayers in tears and sighs, and He has responded with action. You may not see it yet, but in the realm beyond sight, armies have been dispatched to surround you. You are never outnumbered. 2 Kings chapter 6 verses 16 and 17 reveals, "Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And when his eyes were opened, he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire. That's your reality right now. Though it looks like pressure, though it feels like isolation, heaven is crowded around you. These aren't just angels watching, they are angels warring, moving into position, preparing to break barriers, to bind what's bound you, to clear the paths before you, not just for protection, but for progression, not just to guard, but to release. There are things being broken in the spiritual realm that had held your family for generations. There are altars being overturned, contracts signed in darkness being revoked. Because the angels of the Lord do not come passively. They come with assignment, with authority, and with fire. Some of you have been battling in your sleep, waking up tired, attacked, discouraged. That's not just fatigue, that's warfare. But tonight, the tide turns. Tonight, the angels assigned to you have been activated in a new measure. You are not waking up alone anymore. You are not walking through tomorrow unguarded. There is a fresh surge of angelic activity surrounding you. There are encounters ahead that you will not understand, but they will confirm everything being spoken now. Pay attention to the signs, the divine interruptions, the sudden clarity, the unexpected favor, the seemingly random protection. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that heaven is near, that you are surrounded, that God has remembered you. He has never stopped watching, never stopped counting your tears, never stopped assigning His angels to your cause. Even when you felt forgotten, you were fiercely guarded. Even when you were doubting, you were defended. This is not just for your comfort, it's for your commissioning. Because when angels assemble, it's never random. It means an instruction has been released. It means heaven has written a new line in your scroll. It means your obedience is required, because what's coming next cannot be walked out in fear. You must step in faith, knowing that you are not alone. The warfare is not a sign you're losing. It's proof that you're close, close to breakthrough, close to clarity, close to purpose being fulfilled. The enemy isn't attacking you for your past. He's attacking you for your future. And heaven isn't watching silently. Heaven is responding violently. As those angels surround you, there is a stillness coming into your soul. Not weakness, but peace. The kind that silences storms. The kind that says, "Be still and know." You don't have to strive anymore. You don't have to force anything. God is working, and His angels are moving with precision. Take courage. Heaven's armies don't lose battles. They've been assigned to bring you through. They've been released to strengthen what was weak, to lift what was heavy, and to fight for what you didn't know how to fight for. You will feel their presence in the days ahead, in worship, in prayer, in moments of quiet where the air suddenly shifts. Don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it. That's heaven confirming you are surrounded. This is divine alignment, a supernatural convergence. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where heaven wants you. And the evidence is not in what you see, but in what's being activated in the invisible. God has dispatched reinforcements because what you're about to walk into will require angelic covering. You don't need to feel them to trust them. You don't need to see them to believe they're there. You just need to stand in the knowing that God has already gone before you, and His armies are encamped around you. Comment this if your spirit agrees. I am surrounded. Delay was divine protection. You called it disappointment. You called it denial. You whispered in quiet frustration. God, why not me? Why not now? But what you thought was a rejection was actually a rescue. What you perceived as punishment was preservation. The doors that didn't open, the people who didn't stay, the seasons that didn't unfold like you prayed. They were all strategic, not random, not cruel. Strategic. Heaven heard every cry, but God's silence wasn't absence. It was shielding. If you could see the snares behind some of the doors you begged God to open, you would thank Him for every no. If you could glimpse the full picture, what waited behind the timing you wanted, you would fall on your face in gratitude. God's delay is always mercy in disguise. There were people whose access to you would have contaminated your spirit. There were platforms that would have elevated your ego faster than your character. There were opportunities that would have buried you in burdens you weren't called to carry. So God blocked it, quietly, lovingly, firmly. Sometimes protection feels like loss. You grieved the connections that fell away. You mourned what you thought were missed chances. But looking back, you can already see it. God saved you. He saved you from covenanting with counterfeits. He spared you from pouring your oil into broken vessels. He shielded your name, your heart, your destiny. Psalm chapter 84, verse 11 proclaims, "No good thing does He withhold from those who walk uprightly." If it was good for you in that moment, God would have allowed it. If it was necessary for your becoming, He would have released it. If it was part of the plan, no force in hell could have stopped it. Which means if it didn't happen, it wasn't meant to yet. The delay was God saying, "I love you too much to let you settle." It was His hand pulling you back from places that looked right but weren't righteous, from people who had charm but no covering, from seasons that glittered with potential but were hollow beneath the surface. And in the waiting, something deeper was being forged. You thought nothing was happening, but heaven was working silently in the shadows. You were learning to trust God beyond your senses. You were learning to obey even when it felt like silence. You were being trained in the dark to carry something that shines in the light. Do not despise the wait. The wait was warfare. The wait was worship. The wait was divine strategy to protect you from premature exposure. Some of the greatest failures in history happened not because people weren't called, but because they stepped into their calling without process. And that is not your story. You've endured. You've been processed. You've cried yourself into clarity. You've wept into wisdom. You've fasted into fire. And when the release comes, when the doors finally open, you won't just walk through them casually. You'll walk through them ready, humbled, grounded, anointed. You didn't miss anything. Everything God has for you has a timestamp. It cannot be rushed. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be duplicated. It is yours and yours alone. And when it comes, it will come suddenly, effortlessly, powerfully, and you'll realize that no delay ever meant denial. Sometimes God hides His best in plain sight until the appointed time. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on schedule, heaven's schedule. And the very things you thought were detours were actually destiny markers, redirects, not derailments, realignment, not rejection. Let your heart rest. God's timing is not just correct, it is compassionate. He sees what you can't. He knows what you don't. And when He says, wait, it is never to harm, always to heal, always to shield, always to prepare. So breathe again. Let go of the weight of unmet expectations. Lay down the shame of comparing your timeline to others. You are not them. You are chosen one. And chosen ones walk by a different clock. That clock is moving. Every second of stillness was filled with purpose. Every pause was packed with preparation. And when heaven declares, now, everything that was once held back will rush forward, you'll know God didn't forget. He was preparing the path and the person. You're one yes away from destiny. Not 100 steps, not a flawless plan, just one surrender. One moment of real, raw obedience. That's all it takes. Heaven doesn't need you to have all the answers. It needs your agreement. There's a door standing open before you now, and all it's waiting on is your yes. This yes isn't casual. It's not the kind you whisper half-heartedly at an altar and forget by morning. This yes is weighty. It's the kind that rearranges your life, the kind that puts fear in its place and positions you to receive the fullness of what God has written. Destiny is never about convenience. It's about obedience, about saying yes when nothing makes sense, about trusting the whisper even when the noise around you screams doubt. Your yes unlocks things in the spirit that striving never could. Heaven won't force it. God will not drag you, but He is waiting, watching, calling gently and consistently, presenting you with the opportunity to step into what's always been yours. There is a rhythm to divine invitation, a moment when the wind shifts, when what was once locked suddenly opens. That's the season you're standing in now. This isn't about hype. It's not emotion. It's revelation, the kind that pulls you out of cycles and places you into alignment. A yes can seem small, but spiritually it's massive. It breaks agreements with fear. It disrupts demonic contracts signed in compromise. It tears down altars of passivity and builds a new foundation for glory. A yes in the hands of God is more powerful than any strategy in the hands of man. This is the yes that says, I'll go even if I'm afraid. The yes that walks into unfamiliar places, trusting that grace will meet you there. The yes that cuts ties with the things that feel safe but keep you stagnant. You've delayed long enough. You've analyzed. You've prayed. You've asked for confirmation after confirmation. But deep down, you already know. You know the pull isn't random. You know the stirring in your gut isn't temporary. It's divine. And it's asking you to respond, not with perfection, but with permission. God doesn't expect you to know how. He just wants to know if you're willing. Because willing vessels get filled. Willing hearts get transformed. Willing spirits get sent. All it takes is one agreement, and suddenly the path begins to form beneath your feet. Abraham said yes and walked into a promise he couldn't see. Moses said yes and confronted a kingdom. Esther said yes and saved a nation. Mary said yes and carried the Savior of the world. One yes changed everything. Isaiah chapter 6 verse 8 mentions, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here am I. Send me.'" That cry isn't just for prophets. It's for you, for this generation, for this moment. Heaven is asking, who will go? Who will speak? Who will stand? Who will carry the fire? And you're the answer. You've been thinking someone else was better suited, more gifted, more holy, more qualified. But God doesn't choose based on appearance or credentials. He chooses based on heart posture. And your heart, bruised, battle-worn, surrendered, is exactly what He's looking for. This yes will cost you comfort. It might offend your logic. It might make you seem strange to people who were only meant for your last season. But this yes will birth destiny. It will activate favor. It will break stagnation. It's the key you've been looking for. Every delay you've blamed on God. Every closed door. Every prayer that felt unanswered. Heaven has been waiting on your yes. And it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just real. Because the moment you truly say yes, things begin to move. Angels respond. Strategies are released. Resources begin aligning because obedience triggers acceleration. You're not far. You're not lost. You're one yes away. Tonight breaks the curse line. What stopped with others stops with you. What ran through your bloodline, cycles of addiction, patterns of poverty, shame, confusion, brokenness, rejection, ends here, not by might, not by willpower, but by divine authority. You are the interruption to what has tormented your family for generations. You felt it your whole life, that something wasn't right, that something followed you. The doors would slam shut just when breakthrough felt near. That heaviness seemed to hang over birthdays, weddings, births, and even victories. It wasn't your imagination. It was a pattern, a demonic agreement made long before you ever breathed your first breath. But God saw you. He saw you before the patterns were in place. He saw you before the dysfunction wrapped itself around your history. He saw your hunger to be different, your fight to break free. And tonight, that fight is being met with fire. Heaven has declared war on every curse trying to carry itself into your future. No more emotional chains passed down like inheritance. No more spiritual blindness passed off as normal. No more silence when cycles scream louder than prayers. Tonight is not just about you. It's about everything connected to you. Everything that comes after you. You are the bloodline breaker. You are the one they didn't expect, the one hell overlooked, but heaven handpicked, the one who walks into dark rooms and causes shadows to scatter. You carry a presence that reverses damage. Your yes is reversing history. There were choices made before you that opened doors to darkness, words spoken, rituals done, agreements made in ignorance or rebellion. But none of that has authority over you anymore. You are covered by a greater covenant. You walk in the name that every other name must bow to. You are marked by the cross, sealed by the Spirit, and activated by divine fire. Galatians chapter 3, verse 13 affirms, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. That means what was once legal in the spirit realm is now illegal. The curse line has been overruled by the blood of Jesus. You are heaven's proof. You are not just escaping the past, you're reversing it. You're going back in the spirit and pulling your bloodline out of bondage. Your obedience now is making a way for your children's children to walk in blessing, not burden. Every time you choose purity over compromise, you're breaking a chain. Every time you forgive instead of becoming bitter, you're shifting a legacy. Every time you pray instead of panic, you're writing a new future. This is the night it changes. You might feel alone in this battle, but you are surrounded. Angels have drawn swords. The Spirit of God is roaring over your name. And what tormented you in the night will not enter your next season. This is where generational patterns shatter under the weight of your surrender. Don't downplay your role. Don't minimize your presence. You are a walking altar. You are a vessel through which heaven is pouring restoration. You are not just chosen one. You are the chosen turning point. Your family may not understand. That's okay. Your freedom will speak louder than your words. The results of your obedience will preach louder than any sermon. The evidence of your transformation will be undeniable. The shaking you felt isn't destruction. It's the tearing down of strongholds. The systems built around your bloodline are collapsing under the authority of heaven. And when the dust settles, you'll see clearly you were the warrior this family needed. You are not your mother's trauma. You are not your father's failure. You are not what was done to you. You are what heaven has declared over you. And tonight, the declaration is louder than any generational scream. If this truth ignites something in your spirit, if you know you're the one who was born to break what others couldn't, then declare it prophetically. Type 999 in the comments. It means this is the end of the old cycle. A new era begins with me. It's not just a number. It's a banner in the spirit. It's a signal that heaven and earth agree. The curse line has been broken. You're entering a mantle transfer moment. There are spiritual garments being passed in the spirit right now. An unseen hand from heaven is extending to you what others carried before you. Mantles soaked in intercession, mantles drenched in glory, mantles shaped by fire. You are not stepping into this next season empty-handed. You are stepping in clothed with power from on high. You felt the weight increasing lately, not in the form of pressure, but of responsibility. A pull in your spirit to move differently, speak boldly, pray more deeply, see more clearly. That's the sign. That inner shift is not emotional, it's spiritual. You're not imagining the difference, you're being mantled. This moment is sacred. When Elisha followed Elijah to the end, he didn't receive the mantle just because he asked. He received it because he remained. He stayed through the journey, the testing, the uncertainty. He refused to let go. And when Elijah was taken up, the mantle descended, not by effort, but by proximity. That's what's happening now. You didn't get here through hype, you got here through holding on. Your obedience has brought you into divine alignment. The distractions didn't steal your devotion. The delays didn't steal your hunger. That's why this mantle is being released, because God can trust you to carry what others let fall. Luke chapter 24, verse 49 states, "But stay in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high." This is not metaphor, this is manifestation. You are being clothed, covered, wrapped in something eternal. Heaven has tailored something specific to your call, and it fits you perfectly. You don't need to mimic anyone else's anointing. What you're receiving is unique, custom, designed for your exact assignment. And with it comes authority you've never walked in before. Authority to speak and see things shift. Authority to declare and see chains break. Authority to stand in atmospheres and watch them bow to glory. A mantle is more than a calling. It's a commissioning. This isn't about being famous. It's about being faithful. This isn't about gaining influence. It's about releasing impact. When you're mantled, you don't need applause. You move in quiet confidence, knowing you are backed by heaven. Some mantles come suddenly. Others are passed through bloodlines, through prayers, through sacrifices made by those whose names history forgot, but heaven never did. You are walking in the reward of someone's groaning, someone you may never meet on earth, but whose ceiling is now your floor. This mantle is generational. It's sacred. It's heavy, not to crush you, but to ground you. It will protect you in rooms your talent could never keep you in. It will keep your heart pure when influence tries to distract you. It will remind you daily, you are not your own, you are sent. Feel the weight of it settle on your spirit now. Let it humble you. Let it shake you into greater reverence. Because what comes with this mantle is not just elevation, it's cost. It will stretch you, isolate you, strip you of convenience, but it will clothe you in something eternal. You'll begin to notice your vision shift, your appetite shift. What used to entertain you will no longer feed you. You'll find yourself drawn deeper into prayer, into consecration, into the secret place. That's not burnout. That's the mantle adjusting your life. Don't resist the pull. Respond to it. And don't walk alone. If this word is resonating in your bones, if you feel the mantle settling even now, make sure you remain connected. Subscribe and stay aligned with the flow of what heaven is releasing here. Like this message if you feel the confirmation. Share it with someone you sense is also in their mantle moment. And for those who are stirred to do more, who feel led to sow, to give, to stand behind this work financially, know this. Every gift is a seed into fertile ground. It's not obligation, it's opportunity. When you support what's feeding your spirit, you align yourself with the very oil being poured out. Your giving makes room for more voices like yours to be awakened, mantled, and sent. But above all, carry the mantle well. Wear it with honor, steward it with prayer, and walk boldly into every room, knowing you have been clothed with power from on high. You were hidden for glory's sake. Not everyone saw you. Not everyone celebrated you. You didn't always have the spotlight, the validation, the applause, and that wasn't punishment. it was preservation. God hid you, not because you weren't worthy of being seen, but because what you carried was too sacred to be exposed prematurely. You weren't being ignored. You were being protected. There are things inside you, revelation, strength, wisdom, that had to be formed in silence, in obscurity, in places where eyes couldn't watch and voices couldn't influence. God was building something in the dark that will shine with power when revealed in the light. You wanted recognition. He gave you refinement. You prayed for exposure. He gave you endurance. You cried out for doors. He gave you depth. Because God knows this truth, what is revealed too early is vulnerable to corruption. The enemy waits at every stage, hoping to sabotage what's born too soon. But heaven shielded you like a seed in the soil. Your growth was unseen but unstoppable. Every hidden year was heaven whispering, not yet, but soon. And now the time is drawing near. You feel the shift, don't you? A stirring inside you, as if something long buried is beginning to breathe again. Dreams you thought were dead are rising. Strength you forgot you had is returning. This is what happens when hiddenness begins to lift. Glory doesn't come to those who rushed. It comes to those who were readied. Isaiah chapter 49 verse 2 confirms, "He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand, he hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver." That's what God did with you. He shaped you in private, polished you in pain, concealed you until the time was right. Now the bow is drawn. He is about to launch you, not just into visibility, but into purpose. But before you go forward, remember what the shadows taught you. Remember what you learned in the quiet. That's where your authority comes from, not popularity, not performance, but the presence of God you encountered in secret places. There's a confidence rising in you that's not loud, but immovable. It's the kind of confidence that only comes from knowing who held you when no one else did. From knowing that if he kept you in the hiding, he'll carry you in the revealing. Others may have overlooked you. They saw fragments, glimpses, potential, but God saw the whole blueprint. He knew exactly how long to let you grow in silence before revealing you in strength. You weren't late. You weren't behind. You were concealed by divine design. Even your delays had purpose. What you thought was inactivity was actually incubation. You were maturing in ways the surface couldn't show. Patience, wisdom, restraint, integrity. These are the silent pillars of lasting impact. These are the things hidden seasons produce. And now, when God opens the door, you won't just walk through it. You'll walk in authority. You'll walk with clarity. You'll walk carrying more than ambition. You'll carry oil because hidden seasons make you dangerous. They strip you of the need for applause. They purify your motives. They anchor you in truth. And when you come out of them, you're not trying to prove anything. You're simply ready. So don't resent the years you spent unnoticed. Don't curse the chapters where it felt like no one saw you. They were sacred. They were holy. They were essential. And what's coming next will prove that every hidden moment was worth it. You're not stepping into visibility to be seen. You're stepping in to reveal Him. The glory isn't yours, it's God's. But He chose you to carry it because He knew He could trust what He formed in the dark. God will do it suddenly tonight, not gradually, not in a way that fits your calendar, not with warnings or countdowns. Suddenly, in a moment, in the blink of an eye. What looked impossible will become reality. What felt heavy will be lifted. What you thought would take years will be resolved in hours. Because when God moves suddenly, there is no delay, no discussion, no deviation. It just happens. You've been feeling something shift inside you, a restlessness, an alertness, like your spirit knows something is coming, even if your mind can't explain it. That's the Holy Spirit preparing you. It's the tremor before the earthquake, the pressure before the release, the stillness before the outpour. Suddenly is not a surprise to heaven, it's a strategy. God doesn't move suddenly because He's late. He moves suddenly because He's aligning things you cannot see. While you've been waiting, He's been weaving. While you've been questioning, He's been constructing. And tonight, it converges. Everything that tried to block you is about to break open. The conversations that went silent will restart. The doors that were bolted shut will unlock. The relationships you thought were lost for good will come back differently, healed, restored, aligned with purpose. You thought the silence was denial, but it was design. Because what God does suddenly, He also does perfectly. There will be no delay in delivery, no confusion in timing. When it comes, it will come whole, complete. An answer, not just a hint. A breakthrough, not just encouragement. This is not just a personal shift, it's generational. When God moves suddenly in your life, it impacts everything connected to you: family, finances, identity, future. It all starts to move. Heaven doesn't do partial work. When God moves, He moves completely. And tonight is one of those divine inflection points. Suddenly, your voice will carry new weight in the Spirit. Suddenly, your worship will trigger breakthroughs you used to only dream about. Suddenly, clarity will replace confusion. Suddenly, you'll see why the waiting had to last as long as it did. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22 proclaims, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Not you, not strategy, not hustle. God will do it. And when He does, it won't take time. It'll take obedience. One moment of alignment can do more than 10 years of effort. Suddenly is not convenient. It's holy. It often comes when you're tired, when you've almost given up, when you least expect it. That's how you know it's God, because when it happens, it will carry His fingerprint, undeniable, unshakably, unexplainable favor. There will be no need to force it, no need to prove yourself. The breakthrough will speak for itself. The open door will open on its own hinges. The provision will arrive without manipulation. That's the power of a divine suddenly. It's not man-made, it's heaven-initiated. And it doesn't come to reward perfection. It comes to honor perseverance. You've stayed faithful in the fog. You've held on to the promise when all you had was a whisper. You've worshipped through tears and warfare. You've given when it cost you, prayed when you didn't feel like it, believed when nothing around you made sense. God saw it all, and He's moving now. When the wind came on the day of Pentecost, it didn't come slowly. It came suddenly. Acts chapter 2, verse 2 states, "Suddenly a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting." No warning, no forecast, just power, instant and overwhelming. That's the kind of move you're stepping into. This sudden is not chaos, it's divine precision. It will arrive exactly when your spirit is ready. It will align with what you didn't even know you needed. It will be greater than what you dared to ask for. Some of you have been stuck in cycles, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Tonight, the cycle breaks. Not next week, not after another battle. Now, not because you earned it, but because you're aligned for it. The weight positioned you. The obedience prepared you. The faith kept you in place. There is nothing hell can do to stop a heaven sent suddenly. No curse, no delay, no sabotage, no opposition. When heaven says now, everything that tried to stand in the way gets trampled. Every lie is silenced. Every demon that monitored your progress is forced to flee. You will go to sleep and wake up different. You'll walk into rooms that once rejected you and find them ready to receive what you carry. You'll look at your reflection and see more than a survivor. You'll see a vessel on assignment. The shift has already begun. This is not hype. It's not emotion. It's not just inspiration. It's spiritual reality. Heaven is moving. The oil is flowing. The timing is ripe. And the response is simple. All you have to do is stay in position. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit surrendered. Let the suddenly of God do what it's been assigned to do. Comment below to seal it. It is happening. Let every demon know. Let heaven record it. Let your own spirit hear it. It is happening. Your presence disarms demonic plans. You may not always feel it. You may walk into a room and feel small, unnoticed, even overlooked. But in the spirit realm, your entrance shifts the balance. You carry something that darkness cannot counterfeit. It's not your personality. It's not your charisma. It's your authority. You've been given power, not borrowed or imitated, but imparted from heaven itself. And when you move, when you speak, when you simply exist in alignment with God's will, demonic structures begin to tremble. Principalities notice, powers pay attention. It's not about volume, it's about presence. There's a weight you carry, not a burden, but a spiritual density, a depth of the spirit that radiates from you. Whether you're preaching or just walking, you disrupt atmospheres, not by effort, but by existence. When you walk in alignment, your presence becomes a weapon. Luke chapter 10 verse 19 declares, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you." That's not symbolic, that's legal. It's a heavenly declaration over your life that sets the parameters for how darkness is allowed to interact with you. When you speak the name of Jesus, the atmosphere recognizes it, not just the sound, but the ownership. You are not using his name from a distance, you are speaking from union, from covenant. And hell knows the difference. That's why resistance rises. That's why warfare intensifies when you move forward. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're winning. Your movement threatens what the enemy has built in comfort zones. Your obedience shakes the foundations of demonic strategies. Even your silence carries power. There are moments you wanted to speak but were told by the Spirit to hold your tongue, and your restraint shut doors the enemy tried to open. There are moments your presence alone protected others from attacks they never even knew were aimed at them. You are a divine shield in human form. You walk into rooms and unknowingly cover others in intercession. You hug people, and healing flows through your arms. You listen with patience, and chains start to break in the hearts of the broken. You think you're just being there, but spiritually you are warring. Your very life is a disruption. The enemy had plans that your presence canceled, timelines that your prayer uprooted, agreements that your worship overruled. You are not simply walking through life, you are walking through battles, winning them without even realizing the magnitude of your victories. This is why you've been so heavily attacked in the area of identity. Because if you ever truly believed the fullness of who you are and what you carry, you'd stop tolerating certain things. You'd stop second-guessing your power. You'd start stepping into places with full spiritual awareness, knowing that heaven backs your every step. Your prayers are not small. They don't just echo in your room. They shake the corridors of hell. They aren't just therapeutic. They are legislative. They shift policies in the spirit. They open doors that no man can shut and shut gates that no devil can open. You are a walking declaration of divine authority. You weren't given power to impress. You were given it to advance, to overturn, to tear down strongholds and build up altars. Your words aren't empty. They're armed. Your worship isn't emotional. It's explosive. Your discernment isn't overthinking. It's spiritual surveillance. You see more than others because you're meant to pray more than others. You sense things before they manifest because God trusts you with early warnings. You feel burdens others don't notice because your presence is part of His rescue plan. You are not a spectator. You are an enforcer of the will of God. There is something about you that makes darkness hesitate, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you, because you've said yes, because you've stayed when others left, because you've prayed when others played, because you've watched when others slept. You are trusted, not because you're perfect, but because you're faithful. You keep showing up, you keep pushing, you keep seeking. And your consistency has become a spiritual force. Don't underestimate what you shift simply by showing up. Some people are still alive because of your prayers. Some storms broke because you stood. Some battles turned because you whispered. Jesus, you didn't need a microphone. You just needed alignment. And you have it. You are disrupting darkness with every step you take in obedience. You are demolishing altars of confusion, fear, and compromise just by living holy, just by staying surrendered, just by carrying the presence. So, stand tall, not in pride, but in awareness. Hell fears you, and it should. This night changes generations. You thought it was just another evening, another prayer, another moment of reflection. But in the Spirit, this night is marked. This is a divine turning point, a moment that will echo beyond your lifetime. What happens in you tonight won't end with you. It will flow into everything that comes after you. This is legacy in motion. You've been chosen not just to live differently, but to create a new line in the earth, a spiritual bloodline that carries the oil of obedience, the fire of worship, and the mantle of purity. What you decide, what you surrender, what you commit to in this moment will shape the future of those whose names you've never even heard yet. You are the starting point. You are the one heaven has trusted to begin again. Where confusion reigned, you'll bring clarity. Where trauma lived, you'll plant peace. Where shame ruled, you'll raise honor. And where the enemy thought he had legal ground to dwell, you are planting the flag of the kingdom. This isn't just about your healing, it's about generational wholeness. Your freedom tonight will flow into your children and their children and beyond. They will inherit altars you built in secret. They will walk through doors you broke open in intercession. They will breathe easier because you made the hard choices. Psalm chapter 102, verse 18 declares, "Let this be written for a future generation, that a people not yet created may praise the Lord." That is your story. What you are doing tonight is being written in heaven, not just for your sake, but for those yet to come. They'll praise God for the courage you showed, for the addictions you broke, for the mindsets you dismantled, for the generational silence you refused to continue. Every yes you offer heaven becomes a seed in the soil of your lineage. Every "not my will," but yours carves a new path in spiritual history. Every tear shed in obedience is watering a future you can't see, but heaven has already prepared. You're not just surviving a hard life, you're breaking the mold of generational compromise. You're not just saying no to sin, you're saying yes to legacy, yes to purity, yes to prophetic responsibility. You're saying, "It stops here. It stops with me." And heaven agrees. The Spirit of God is not just hovering over you tonight. He's hovering over your future family line, realigning destinies, reclaiming callings, restoring identities, undoing what was done in darkness because of you. You may not feel qualified. You may not feel ready, but obedience doesn't need credentials. It needs surrender. It needs someone to say, "I'll go first. I'll fight. I'll pray. I'll worship. I'll become what they said wasn't possible." You're not just chosen one. You are strategic. You are the result of intercession that came long before you. Someone in your ancestry cried out for change. Someone wept for freedom. Someone asked God to intervene. And He answered with you. You are the response to a desperate prayer. That's why the pressure has been so intense. That's why the enemy tried to take you out early. He wasn't just trying to destroy you. He was trying to halt the chain reaction you would start. He saw what was coming. He knew that once you woke up, once you stood in identity, the ripple effect would be unstoppable. You are the beginning of something holy. This night marks the cutting away of what no longer belongs to your name: shame, fear, abandonment, scarcity, rage. It no longer has space in your future because God has stepped in, and He is writing a new scroll over your bloodline, one that reads, chosen, redeemed, sent, covered, free. Even if you don't have children yet, even if you think it's too late, even if you feel like you've made too many mistakes, the moment you come into agreement with God, He redeems time, reclaims territory. He restores everything the enemy tried to erase. And it starts now, tonight. You stand in the middle of a holy collision between your past and your future. You are the hinge, you are the shift, you are the interruption. Generations will be different because of this moment, crowned in the midnight hour, while others sleep spiritually, emotionally, even physically. God is crowning you, not with earthly success, but with heavenly authority. This is not a crown made of gold and jewels. It is a crown forged in fire, formed through endurance, and released in divine timing. It's not visible to the natural eye, but in the realm of the Spirit, it shines brighter than any earthly diadem. You've been walking through hidden seasons, through crushing places, and tonight, God is declaring it is time. The oil has been pressed, the vessel has been purified, the glory has been weighed, and now the crown is being placed upon your head. You've been wondering, when will it be my turn? This is the answer, not in fanfare, not in lights, but in a sacred, supernatural coronation, a moment between you and God, where heaven marks you afresh, where what you carry is publicly declared in the Spirit, where you begin to walk as what you already were, royalty. It doesn't come because of perfection. It comes because of submission. The crown doesn't fall on the proud. It rests on those who have knelt before the throne in surrender. Those who've said, even if it costs me everything, I still say yes. That's you. You are not the same person who entered the last storm. You are not the same soul who sat weeping last year, unsure of how to move forward. The wilderness refined you. The silence shaped you. The battle crowned you. James chapter 1 verse 12 states, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." This is that moment. You've stood the test. You're still here. You're still believing. And now the crown of life is being placed on your spirit. Don't look for applause. Don't wait for recognition. Heaven has already stood to honor what you've overcome. This crown is not for pride. It's for purpose. You wear it not to show off, but to show up, not to shine for yourself, but to reflect His glory, not to elevate your name, but to exalt His. Something shifts the moment you're crowned. Your steps become firmer. Your speech gains weight. Your discernment sharpens. What used to distract you no longer holds power. You begin to move as one who understands their role in the kingdom. And it doesn't mean the battles stop. It means you fight from victory, not for it. You walk with a certainty that confuses the enemy. You pray with a voice that echoes in the Spirit. You carry a posture that commands attention from heaven and hell alike. This crowning is confirmation. It is also commissioning. It's a signal that the time of hiding is lifting, that the season of quiet preparation is giving way to divine activation. What was done in secret is about to bear fruit in public, not for your fame, but for God's glory. People will wonder what changed. They'll see you walk into places and feel something different. They may not be able to explain it, but they'll know. This one carries something. This one has been marked. The midnight hour is when most people are asleep, but not you. You were awake, spiritually alert, postured, waiting. And heaven always crowns those who remain watchful when others drift. Don't despise your journey. Every tear was recorded. Every late-night prayer was a thread in your robe. Every step of obedience, every act of faith, every whispered yes built the foundation for this moment. You are not standing here by luck. You were brought here by a divine hand. And as you wear this crown, remember it's not for comfort, it's for responsibility. You will be called to higher levels of accountability, of purity, of surrender. You will carry burdens others can't see, but you will also walk in favor others can't explain. Let it settle on you. Let the weight of it shift your posture. Let the responsibility draw you closer to His feet. If this word resonates in your spirit, if something inside you is rising, confirming, breaking open, remain connected, like this message to keep it marked in your spirit. Subscribe to this space if you sense God is speaking to you here often. Don't let the oil pour without staying near the source. And if you feel led to do more, if you want to sow into this message, this space, this move, do so with freedom. Your giving isn't payment, it's agreement. It helps fuel what God is doing and expands the reach of these prophetic encounters. Comment something simple to confirm what heaven is doing. My crown is ready. Let those words be your amen, your alignment, your declaration in the presence of God. This is the midnight hour, and you, beloved, have been crowned. Hell is nervous about your awakening. You may not see it, but the enemy does. You may not feel like a threat, but your rising sends shockwaves through the kingdom of darkness. The closer you get to truth, the more desperate hell becomes. The more you embrace your identity, the more frantic the attacks become, because your awakening means their eviction. They hoped you'd stay asleep, numb, distracted, busy chasing things that would keep your spirit quiet. But something in you has stirred, something ancient, something holy. You are not just waking up. You are remembering who you were before the world tried to rename you. You were never ordinary. Even as a child, you felt different. You saw things others didn't. You felt deeply. You questioned the surface. You carried weight before you had language for it. That wasn't weirdness. It was divine wiring. The enemy saw the mark early, and that's why the attack began early. But what he didn't realize was that everything meant to break you was actually shaping you. And now the fog is clearing. You're not thinking like you used to. You're not tolerating what you once did. You're beginning to say no to what drains and yes to what aligns. That's awakening. That's spiritual awareness taking root. It's not perfection. It's progression. It's not about doing everything right. It's about finally seeing things right. You've started to ask dangerous questions, the kind that break cycles. You've started to crave holy things, the kind that dismantle flesh. You've started to live alert to the unseen, to the holy, to the whisper of God. And that makes you a problem for darkness. You can't be manipulated the same way anymore. You can't be baited by the same temptations. You can't be lured by what once distracted you. Your spirit is leading now. Your eyes are open, and that threatens every system built on your slumber. Romans chapter 13, verse 11 declares, "The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." This is that hour. The time is now. Your awakening is not just personal, it's prophetic. Others will follow your light. You are not the only one, but you may be the first in your circle. You may be the first to rise, to burn, to see clearly. And as you do, your clarity will challenge the comfort of others. Your fire will reveal their lack of it. Your vision will expose their blindness, not in pride, but in purpose. You will become a catalyst, not by trying to convince, but by simply living, awakened. Your life will become a rebuke to complacency. Your choices will stir conviction. Your peace will challenge anxiety. Your hunger will awaken thirst in others. Because light doesn't need to argue with darkness. It just needs to shine. This is why the warfare around your mind has been intense. The enemy cannot stop your calling, but he will do everything to dull your clarity. Because if you stay foggy, you'll stay stuck. But if you stay focused, you'll become a threat. And that is exactly what you are now, a threat. Every time you speak life instead of death, hell shudders. Every time you choose prayer over panic, demons lose ground. Every time you worship when you could have wept, the heavens roar, and the enemy trembles, because the awakened ones, those who see, who hear, who obey, they are unstoppable, and you are one of them. You may not feel ready. You may still feel fragile, but don't confuse process with power. You are still growing, but the power is already active. You are still healing, but the fire is already burning. And that fire makes you uncontainable. The enemy doesn't fear your perfection. He fears your persistence. That after all you've walked through, you still worship. After all the setbacks, you still press in. After all the betrayal, you still choose love. That's power. That's awakening. That's spiritual maturity. And it didn't happen overnight. This awakening came through years of questions, tears, trials, breakthroughs, through moments when you thought God was silent but found Him whispering in your bones, through nights when you thought you were abandoned but were actually being drawn deeper. This is not cheap fire. This is hard-earned flame. And now that it's burning, it won't be put out. Let your eyes remain open. Let your discernment stay sharp. You were not born to follow trends. You were born to carry truth. You are not here to mimic the noise. You are here to be a voice. And your voice matters. Your flame matters. Your obedience matters. This is your season to walk fully awake. The door is open. Walk through. This is not a metaphor, not a suggestion, not an idea to consider. It is a command from heaven. The door is open. What once was shut, what once resisted you, what once stood as a wall is now an invitation. There is nothing holding you back but hesitation. The lock is broken. The gate has moved. You are no longer on the outside looking in. Walk. This moment has been prepared, not just for you, but by you. Every prayer you prayed in secret, every battle you endured silently, every time you obeyed when no one saw it, built this door. It shaped this opportunity. And now it stands before you wide open, waiting. But open doors require movement. Heaven can create the path, but you must choose to walk it. You must decide that comfort will no longer be your God, that safety will no longer be your idol, that fear will no longer have veto power over your obedience. There comes a point when you stop waiting for confirmation and start moving with conviction. This is that point. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 declares, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. God didn't say the door might open. He said it is already open. And He didn't say no man could open it. He said no man could shut it. Which means this door is sovereignly yours. But possession is different from activation. You must walk through it. What you leave behind may be familiar, but it is finished. The mindset, the fear, the self-doubt, the addiction to being accepted, all of it stays on the other side, because what's ahead cannot be carried by what was. This is not a merge, it's a crossing. Cross into courage, cross into calling, cross into clarity. No more lingering, no more bargaining with God, asking for 10 more signs, waiting until you feel ready. You are ready, not because you feel it, but because heaven says so. You are more prepared than you think. You are more powerful than you realize, and your steps are more ordered than they appear. Every fear you feel right now is lying to you. The door is not a trap. It's not a test. It's a transition. And what's waiting on the other side will make every moment of hesitation seem small. You were made for this. You are being sent into something eternal, something unshakable, something your bloodline has never seen. Step forward, not with pride, not with panic, but with holy resolve. Let every step be a declaration that you are done circling wildernesses, that you are done entertaining what delays you, that you are done apologizing for being chosen one. You will not miss what God has for you, not if you walk, the moment you step. Everything shifts. Resources begin to align, people appear, clarity sharpens, strategy flows, favor increases, not because you chased any of it, but because you moved through obedience. What's waiting on the other side of this door is not perfection, it's purpose. And you will find rest there, not the kind that means inactivity, but the kind that means alignment. Peace that isn't fragile, joy that isn't seasonal, confidence that doesn't waver. This door isn't just for now, it's for legacy. What you step into tonight will ripple into eternity. Generations will be altered by your decision to move, to say yes, to stop waiting and start walking. So don't look back, don't second guess, don't wonder if it's for you. The door is open. Walk through, chosen one. You've reached the end of this prophetic encounter, but not the end of your story. Something eternal has been stirred in you. This wasn't just a message, it was a mantle. You've walked through fire in these words. You've stood at spiritual thresholds. You've broken cycles, risen in authority, and heard heaven whisper over your life. Well done, now rise. You are no longer the same. You are awakened, crowned, commissioned, and the glory of God that has rested on you through these chapters will not lift. It will increase from this moment forward. Expect alignment. Expect acceleration. Expect divine setups, sacred assignments, and supernatural rest. You've entered a new season, and this one doesn't come with delay. It comes with demonstration. Let this not be the last time we meet here. If this series spoke to you, transformed you, or even just confirmed something you already felt, stay connected, like this message, so you can return to it. Share it with someone who needs to hear the same truth. Subscribe if you haven't yet, so every divine download sent to this space reaches you right on time. And if you feel led to go deeper, if you feel stirred to partner, to help carry this mantle into more hearts,